to this call, to this event. Pardon me. And if you're getting double speak, you might want to plug in some speakers, if you have some earbuds or something, that sometimes helps. And good, everything works fine for me. I can see you well and hear you well too. Sally says I'm okay, but I had to reload once. Still good. Okay, good. So that's always true too. You can always log out and log back in. And I'll try not to say anything too interesting while you're gone. So welcome. We're here to talk about how to be a creative genius CEO. We're here to talk about how you can take the work that is dearest to your heart and make time and space for it in your life, and also make money from it. You might be able to see my cats are they're always interested in what I'm interested in. So if I'm focusing on you, they're here too. But let's start with our breathing. Let's start just welcoming us into this moment in time. You are here in the center of your life. You are here with greater knowledge and power and movement and opportunity. You are better prepared than you have ever been before to take advantage of your own creativity and the opportunities that are in front of you. And I want to talk to you about some very practical ways to do that. So just centering in right now, feel yourself in the center of yourself. Let your belly go really squishy soft and loosen your hands. Loosen your jaw. Soften your gaze. Soften your heart. Think about someone you care about. Think about something you're grateful for. And we're going to do a little breathing. We're going to inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. I'll count us through it, and we're going to do it 3 times. And if you want to ignore it, that's totally fine with me. We'll be done in just a second. You ready? Let's inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you. Thank you for doing that with me. Let me check the chat. Hearing everything I say twice, even after reconnecting. I don't know what to tell you about that, Carolyn. I'm sorry that's happening. I wonder if I unplug the mic. How's that, Carolyn? Does that improve things for a little bit? Can you guys still hear me if I lose the mic? Because the mic seems to be a little funky today. Good. So I'm curious what you think is keeping you from making money from your creativity. What do you think gets in your way of that? You can go ahead and type into the chat, or you can just make a note for yourself on a piece of paper. But I'm curious what it is that's that you think is holding you back or getting in your way. So you could make money from your creativity, but what? Okay, that's my question for you. And I'll tell you, somebody asked me, and at the end of this call, I'm going to answer as many of these questions that you guys wrote in as I can. But like, when did I know that I could make money from my creativity? And you know, for a long time I didn't. I thought I was sort of unfit for any job. You know, I could do a lot of things fairly well, but I wasn't interested in doing most of the things that people wanted to hire me to do. And you know, what I really wanted to do was acting, and I did make something of a living at that. I did a lot better than a lot of people ever do, but it wasn't enough to actually live on. It wasn't enough to buy the good cheese or take trips or buy new clothes or do anything fun. It was a real grind. It was really hard. It was very satisfying. There was a lot of fun, but financially disastrous. So when I so I had a million different part-time jobs and gigs and shows, and I was teaching classes and delivering flowers and being an executive assistant and producing radio shows and being a cocktail waitress. And what else did I do? I was a whitewater river guide for a while. Like, I did everything. And finally, in early 2009, everything fell away. Like, all of a sudden, this calendar that had kept me booked, busy from dawn to well after midnight every single day, all of a sudden I had zip on the calendar, because I had been working for a production company that laid off like 2/3 of their employees, including me. A project I had been working on came to its natural conclusion. I knew that was ending. Something I thought I had lined up fell through, and all of a sudden I had this and I was like, oh, great. Now I'm gonna have to get another gig. And that was so depressing to me. And then I thought, I wonder if I could do this organized artist company thing full time. And then I thought, I guess I should order business cards. Like, I knew nothing. I knew nothing about running a business. I knew nothing about entrepreneurship. I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about sales. I knew nothing about advertising. I knew nothing about JV affiliate. I knew nothing. So what was holding me back is, one, the inspiration, and two, just pure knowledge, right? And so I buckled down right away and started to teach myself everything I possibly could about entrepreneurship, small business, owning a business, marketing. And it turns out it's fascinating. It's fascinating because it's all about human behavior, right? Why do people do what they do? Why do some words motivate people and other words don't motivate people? Like, how do you tune in to what people are desiring? It's so cool. So I was reading stuff by Seth Godin and Malcolm Gladwell, and, books about Starbucks and books about other businesses and other entrepreneurs and memoirs. And Paco Underhill wrote a book called Why We Buy. Fascinating. And I started to take a bunch of online courses. In fact, I remember my best friend, Amy Ehlers, talked me into taking this class taught by a guy named Ryan Lee, who's a big time internet marketer. I think it was $2,000 to take this online course. I had never spent $2,000 like on anything. But I knew I needed the information. I knew I needed it. So I just gulped and signed up and then implemented right away, because it had to pay for itself before the American Express bill came. There was no budget. There was no like, oh, I'll just do this for a while until it makes money. No, it had to make money immediately or there was no groceries. So that financial imperative made a big difference to me. I remember I also laid down, I think it was $2,500 for a ticket to a Lisa Sasevich event about how to have a 3-day live event. And I remember sitting in this ballroom with all these other entrepreneurs and feeling like, I don't really fit in here. And what am I going to have a 3-day event? When's that supposed to happen? Like, there's no way. And of course, 2 years later, I was having my first 3-day event. And now here I am doing it for the 4th year in a row. The big yes isn't just a couple of weeks. And we'll be talking about that in a little bit. So some of the things that hold you guys back, interacting with clients, is energy sucking. And I feel they're not really worth my creativity. Yep, that'll hold you back. Mary says, maybe too many eggs in one basket, recording, composing, practicing, some teaching. Would it better serve me just to perform, to just record? That doesn't seem possible. Good. Margaret, scared of change for the worse. Fear. Yes. Oh, Doug has some advice about the doublespeak. Check for 2 open windows to the webinar. Good suggestion. Thank you, Doug. Laronda says, charging what I'm worth. Renee, finding people who are interested in what I create. I don't know who to target. Follow through. Me, I'm my own worst enemy. Fear of failure. Making time, day job, prioritizing. Yeah, good. So thank you for your honesty. Thank you for sharing. I can feel people nodding all over the world, all over the globe. I'm like, yep, that's me too. Yep, that's my problem too. Yep, that's my problem too. And there's answers to all these questions, right? There's a way through this. And part of the problem I see is that you guys are deeply creative. You are fabulous problem solvers, right? That's what creativity is. It's solving problems. If you've ever solved a problem differently than somebody else has ever solved the problem, congratulations, you are a creative genius. And but you start looking at business and feel like, oh, there's some right way to do it, or I have to be salesy, or I have to be weird, or I have to do things I don't want to do. And that shuts you down and makes you stop, right? And I remember when I started, one of the other things I did is I got Infusionsoft really early on, and learned it right away because I didn't know it was supposed to be hard. So I just figured it out. And that was another big investment that had to pay for itself right away, and it did. And they had a lot of free trainings, so I would go to their trainings and events. And I remember sitting there, and these marketing genius guys are talking about funnels and email marketing and drip sequences and lead magnets and nurturing and calls to action and upsells and downsells. And I was like, what are they saying? What are they even talking about? I would listen and I would listen and I would listen, and I'd take notes and take notes and take notes. And when I finally figured out what they were talking about, I went, okay, first of all, this is not that hard. This is actually really easy. Like, they are making it sound a lot harder than it actually is. Second of all, why is no one talking to creative people about this? Creative people are great at this stuff. Like, if you just change the language a little bit, like, creative people could make a fortune doing exactly what they love if only they had a little bit of structure, a little bit of systems, a little bit of tools, a little bit of strategy. Because really, what they were saying, what these experts were teaching me, is that business is all about being authentic. It's all about telling a great story. It's all about being great at what you do, right? Step one, be amazing. And it's about saying yes. It's about tolerating uncertainty and saying yes and stepping forward even when you're not sure, even when it feels risky, even when you've never done it before. So this is one of the things we're going to be talking a lot at the Big Yes event in July, is this concept of easy, excellent, authentic, story, yes, EASY. I'm not much for acronyms, but I thought that one was pretty good. Because really, if you follow the excellence, the authenticity, the story, and your yes, your deep inner big yes, you cannot go wrong. You cannot fail. You cannot fail. Not everything you do will always work in the way that you think it should work, but you cannot fail. So if you're going to write her down, or go ahead and write that down. If I stick with my excellence, my authenticity, my story, and I say yes, I cannot fail. Good. So here's what we're up to. Renee says, yay, thanks for getting that out there. I love the idea of easy. Yeah, it is easy. It is easy. I'll tell you what, even when it's hard, it's not any harder than what you're doing now. Even when it's hard, it is not any harder than what you're doing now. Success is no harder than struggle. There are things about it that are hard, but they're not harder than struggle, I guarantee. So yeah, so I'm going to be talking through some of these concepts, and they work for creative entrepreneurship, but I found, or I hear back from a lot of clients and students, that they also work, the principles, the underlying ideas also work for life, for relationships, communicating better with your teenagers, with your job, with your boss. Somebody emailed me like, does this work for corporate stuff too? I don't know, because I've never actually had a job in corporate America, but I believe it will work too for corporate America. You tell me, try it out and tell me. So I'm going to walk you through these 10 things that I had to learn the hard way. And I'll go into depth on a couple of them. I'm not going to go into depth on all of them, otherwise we'd be here all day. And then we're going to talk about Big Yes. We're going to talk about this event that I have coming up. And I'm going to make what I hope is a completely irresistible offer. And you'll come. That's what I'm hoping. So we'll spend a couple of minutes talking about that. And then I'm going to stay on the line and answer questions until you don't have any questions anymore, or I can't talk anymore. So that's my plan. Y'all down with me? Does that sound okay with you guys? Good. And the questions are amazing. The questions like, how do I let go and put my priorities first, right? With a new business, how long will it be before you start making a financial profit, or when will a new business be out of the red, so to speak? Well, Maggie, like I said, for me, immediately. Immediately. I believe in businesses being profitable immediately. How do I organize all my ideas when I feel overwhelmed because of all my obligations? Oh, this is a good one. Why do I make a plan, manifest enough to accomplish my goal, and then I'm flat broke after? I haven't answered. So we'll get to that at the end. Great. If you're getting curious about the Big Yes before I get to it, you can go to bigyesrevolution.com. This is my fancy PowerPoint. bigyesrevolution.com. It's coming up in a couple of weeks at the Westin LAX here in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Okay, if you had a chance to print out the 10 How to Be a Creative Genius CEO, that looks like this, although hopefully you have it in color. My color printer isn't working properly. So I've printed it in grayscale, in black and white, but this is what it looks like. And you should have gotten a copy of it. If you didn't, email me and we'll send you one. Good. All right, so number one in How to Be a Creative Genius CEO, say it with me, I do not work for free. I do not work for free. Right? That means, and this is kind of a thing for creative people because, you know, we're not always super motivated by money. That's not always what really gets us going in the morning. You know, if something seems like a cool project, or it's with cool people, or it's for a good cause, or we're just sort of interested, or we think we might learn something, we are often willing to work for free. And it's not until much later that we go, oh, wow, I spent a lot of time and energy on that and I didn't make any money. Darn it. So it's time to start saying no to working for free. That means you might have to say no to your friends. That means when people say, oh, it should be really good exposure for you. No, not for free. It won't. And maybe the way to think about it is this, like, would a doctor do it? You know, would your if somebody went to your dermatologist or to your surgeon and said, hey, I've got this opportunity, you know, like you can work with my friend and they're really well connected. They'll refer you a lot of business if you work for them for free. Or like, would you come and just like, no, of course not. So think of yourself as the doctor. Would the doctor do this? And it's going to be hard the first couple of times, but I guarantee you will start to professionalize yourself immediately. And you will start to be able to prioritize your time a little better. And we'll get to that in number 2. But this may also mean, and I hate to say this, I'm actually sort of scared to say this, but I feel like you guys are going to know what I'm saying. You may have to cut back on some of your volunteer commitments. I know, I hate to say it, because I love volunteering. I love being of service. We raised $15,000 for Girls' School in Africa last year. Like, I love this stuff. But while you are building a business, you do not have extra time. And so you're going to have to tell, you know, maybe your religious organization or maybe whatever place it is you volunteer to say, like, you know what, I'm going to have to step back for just like a little bit of time. And then when I come back, I'm going to have so much, I'm going to be able to write you the biggest check. Like, I'm gonna be so well connected with other entrepreneurs. I'm gonna be able to deliver the best silent auction items. Like, you might just have to shuffle things around a little bit. And think of it this way, you're giving somebody else an opportunity to volunteer. You're giving, you know, volunteer organizations are an endless gaping maw of need. They will always need more time and help than you can give them. You may have to step away while you're building your business. And then you can come back and give them way more money later. Good. Sal says, I am a doctor and people do want things for free. Ah, well, then there you go. Pretend you're a doctor who doesn't give things away for free then. That's my advice. Good. So this goes right into number 2, which is I concentrate on my highest income and highest joy producing activities. And I remember the first time I heard this, somebody I was working with said, you know, well, what are your highest income producing activities? And I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. But of course, I have things that I do that produce income and things that I do that do not produce income. And some things I do that produce a little bit of income and other things I do that seem to produce quite a lot of income. Oh, if I concentrate my attention on the things that are the highest income producing, I could do better. And what that meant is that on my daily list, as I'm writing out all the stuff that I think I want to try to get done that day, I'll put a little green $ sign next to the stuff that involves money so that I remember to do it, so that I remember to prioritize it and put it up to the top of the list. Because otherwise, like I said, I'll get distracted by like, oh, this is fun, or this is interesting, or I like this person. Nope, If you want more money in your life, you're going to have to focus on the money. You don't have to be sad or selfish or money grubbing or weird about it, but you're going to have to put some attention on it. Okay. And high is joy producing in that you are in your zone of genius. You are doing the work that you would do anyway. You are doing the work in a way that you would do anyway, right? So even the stuff you don't like, and somebody just typed, Jennifer said, I dislike marketing and I'm tired of working alone. Right. So the key is to find, marketing is such a terrible word. You need to find something that you love to do that helps get the word out there about your work. It's not alone. It's not alone, right? This is what I mean, using your creativity to solve the problems that are facing you as an entrepreneur. You can do it, and there's no right way. There's just your way. You can write that down too. There's no right way to have a business. There's just your way. And highest income producing activity too doesn't have to be boring stuff. Like I realized that my writing actually brings in quite a bit of money. I mean, not just advances on books and things, but it brings a lot of attention to my business, my writing. So, so even though it doesn't produce immediate income down the road, that's a very worthwhile investment. Any time I spend writing is good time spent on my business. Karen says, I feel like finding more money means finding more of myself that I don't know yet. Honey, you could not be more right. I had no idea that having a business was going to be the single greatest tool for personal development and spiritual growth ever. Ever. I understand that parenthood works this way too, in terms of spiritual growth and personal development. But that's what business is. Like, it forces you to become a better person, a stronger person, a better citizen, a better communicator, a better partner, to be more impeccable with your word, to be braver than you ever thought you could be, to invent things you didn't know you could invent, to say no to things you didn't know you could say no to say yes to things you didn't know you could say yes to. Like, it's an adventure. It's an adventure, and it will grow you and light you up like you have no idea. No idea. It's so fun. It's the best art project of all time. Having a business is the best art project of all time. Okay. Number 3 is I present myself as a creative professional at all times. At all times. So that means a couple of things. It means that, first of all, you just stand tall in your work. When I was an actor in LA, it used to drive me nuts when people would say, oh, what do you do? And then people go like, well, like everybody, I'm trying to be an actor, but right now I'm waiting tables. Like, no, you're an actor. Say you're an actor. Be proud of it. Stand in your verb. What do you do? I'm a painter. What do you do? I'm a teacher. What do you do? I'm a healer. I'm a writer. I'm a creator. Right? Don't apologize. And if somebody wants to make a dumb joke, like, oh, you're in comedy, say something funny, whatever, people say silly things all the time. Just smile and move on. So stand tall, own what you do. Stay up to date in your field, right? That's part of being a professional, is keep up with the trends, know what everybody else is doing. You don't have to pay too much attention to it. Like, I don't want you to get obsessed, but I want you to have some awareness of what's going on in your industry. And for Pete's sake, wear good shoes. My grandmother used to say that you could always tell a lady by her shoes, and I think it goes double for men. You don't have to wear expensive shoes. You don't have to wear fancy shoes, but you have to wear good shoes. Shoes that are in good repair, shoes that are of good quality. And also, there's a face thing. Like, when you're in uncomfortable shoes, your face goes bad, and you get tired. So do yourself a favor. Wear good shoes, and be proud of what you do, because you're great. Lorenda says, need to practice that elevator speech to present myself. I actually have a way to do that. We'll be talking about that at Big Yes. I have a sort of a trick for that that's really super fun. Heather says, I'm spending time on a project that is not netting me the financial gain I would have hoped, yet I feel like if I give up on it, I'm giving up on my dream. Well, I have an answer. This is Chester, everybody. Say hi, Chester. World's most adorable kitty. Say hi, honey. Okay. We'll be talking about changing the plan, about amendments to the plan in a minute. That may help you. Good. So number 4 sort of has to do with being a creative professional. Yeah, I know, he's adorable. Says number 4 is I keep my business financial records separate and up to date. So that means you have a separate bank account for your business and you keep those receipts separate. You have a charge card or a credit card that you only use for your business and you never use it for personal stuff. You present your tax records to your tax person appropriately. Because when you do that, you can do things like write off a ticket to the Big Yes and all of your travel expenses and all of your meals and every book you buy and every magazine you buy and every movie you go see, because you got to stay up on the trends, right? It's all professional expense as far as I'm concerned. That is not tax advice. I am not a tax professional. Please consult your local tax professional. Let me just say that. Thank you. Thank you for understanding that this is just me speaking casually about my own experience. But I'm telling you, if you don't know your numbers, then you don't know what your highest income producing activities are, right? Sometimes we feel like we're making a lot of money from something and we realize, oh wait, that's actually a lot of time, but not that much money. And oh look, here's something that didn't take me very much time, but it did net me a lot of money. Or here's something that made me a lot of money, but it also cost me a lot of money to get there, to make that happen, right? So, and then how can we leverage that? How could we maybe do it again so it's cheaper to produce, but still has the it has a better profit margin, whatever. And there's ways to do that that are actually fun. There's ways to do that that are actually fun. I talk about budgeting as fun in the Get It Done workshop a little bit and in the book. And we'll talk about it more at Big Yes, but it's really worth it. It's really worth it. And I know it's easy to put it off and it's easy to not want to do it and it's easy to not want to look at it. But there's nothing in there that will bite you. And the freedom that comes from knowing where you stand and where your business stands financially and where it could potentially grow is like, it's like planting a garden. All of a sudden you're like, aha, the radishes do really well right there. The tomatoes don't do so well. Like you can start to make judgments because you're seeing fruits. But if you don't ever weed, if you don't ever water, if you don't ever pay attention to the garden, then you don't even know what's growing in there. Right? Okay. So Heather, this goes to what you were asking about. Number 5 on how to be a creative genius CEO is, I know that revisions to the plan are mandatory. Second guessing is prohibited. I know that revisions to the plan are mandatory. Second guessing is prohibited. So that means when you set a goal, you become unwavering in your vision and in your pursuit of that goal. You become relentless, like a star, like the sun. However, as you work on things, and you know this from your creative work, you have an idea when you start, but the minute you start working on it, you realize things have to change. Like, oh, wait, we can't do it on that Tuesday because that's Yom Kippur. Or, oh, we can't do it, oh, I realized I needed to do it this way, or I made this offer and that didn't really work. Let me try this. Let me shift this way. Let me, you're sailing kind of. And how sailing, you don't sail in a straight line. You tack, right? So you go this way, and then you go back this way, and it sort of looks like you're going off course, but you're not. You're zigzagging towards your goal. So understanding that, like, okay, I'm in this thing. I'm, like Heather says, I'm doing this project. It really matters to me. I don't want to quit because I feel like I'd be giving up on my dream, but it's not bringing in the money I wanted. Great, so now I have some decisions to make. Is there a way I can make this project bring in the money that I need it to? Is there some other way that money could come in? Like, okay, great, that's not paying the bills. What is? What can fund me while I do this thing that's not paying? So there's, to understand that, sure, you're going to revise the plan. What I don't want you doing is that second guessing that, like, well, I thought I was going to do this, but now maybe I'm not sure, and I don't know, and maybe I should do this other thing instead. And Like you get a third of the way into something and then you drop it and do something else, and get a third of the way into that and drop it and do something else. And you talk yourself in and out of ideas like this. It's the curse of the smart person, right? You can talk yourself in and out of things on a dime. And you got to cut it out. You're just burning energy and making yourself crazy, and probably making everybody around you crazy too. Okay? So revisions to the plan, absolutely. Second guessing, no more, right? Okay, good. Number 6, I am not vague about stuff. Number 6 is I am not vague about stuff. So that means you're not vague about your agreements. You're not vague about your partnerships. You're not vague about your offers. You're not vague about what you charge. You're not vague about when it's due. You're not vague about deadlines. You're not vague about paying other people. You're whatever it is, you drill down. You get precise about what you expect from others and what they can expect from you. Again, seems a lot scarier in theory than it actually is in practice. The minute you start doing it, you'll be like, oh, this is so much better. I remember when I offered the Get Your Work Out There course with Steve Harper, my friend Steve Harper. We had some good ideas and we were talking, and then almost the next thing I knew, he was like, okay, great, well, I'll have my lawyer draw up an agreement and then we can get to work. And I was like, you'll have your what do what? But I was so glad, because it forced us to really talk out, like, what did we expect of each other? What was the plan? What if one of us perishes? What happens to the work? Like, all partnerships end eventually, one way or the other. So you want to plan for that in advance. It was one of the best working relationships I've ever had. Partly because we were not vague about stuff. Good. Sel says, is there a place to see this list written? Yes, you should have gotten in an email this How to Be a Creative Genius CEO, this PDF. I'll put it up, I'll email it out again when assuming I send out the recording of this, which I think I will. So number 1, I do not work for free. Number 2, I focus on my highest income and highest joy producing activities. Number 3, I present myself as a creative professional at all times. Number 4, I keep my business financial records separate from my personal records and up to date. Number 5, I know that revisions to the plan are mandatory, second guessing, prohibited. Number 6, I am not vague about stuff. Number 7, I can't even begin to tell you how important this one is. I abide by my values. And I chose that word very deliberately, abide. It means you dwell in. Your values are the house you live in. And everything you do is motivated by your values. And in this way, you can make the world a better place through your business. So, for example, the values of the Organized Artist Company, my business, are creativity, authenticity/transparency, kindness, good humor and fun, and what I call the perfect word, right, which has to do with being precise in language, and poetry. So when I have a crisis, let's say I had, this has never happened, but let's say I had, somebody who didn't want to pay me or something. Now, almost all my things come with satisfaction guaranteed or your money cheerfully refunded, so that's never really been an issue, and I hardly ever get any asked for that. But let's say that I did. Let's say that suddenly somehow somebody got very upset with me and wanted to sue me, or I don't know, something terrible. And, at that point you would get a lot of advice from people about, like, oh, well, you should take them to court, or you should do this, or you should do that. And what I would do, the first thing I would do, is go to my values and say, okay, what is the creative, authentic, transparent, kind, good-humored, articulate, poetical way to solve this problem? And do you see how coming from a position of my values starts to indicate a course of action that maybe not everybody else would be comfortable taking, but I know is going to work for me? And you see businesses doing this all the time, right? Starbucks is paying for college education for their employees. How would you like that? Right? There's so many ways to have your work illuminate the world and make the world a better place. But you have to know what your values are, which again is something we'll be doing at Big Yes, and you have to then stick by them, right? Number 8 is, it's okay with me if I succeed. I know that my success benefits all. It's okay with me if I succeed. I know my success benefits all. I think sometimes we think that success is going to set us back or make us unhappy. And honestly, if it's not okay with you that you succeed, it doesn't matter what strategies and tactics and mindset tips I give you. Because if it's not okay with you, it's not okay with you, and you're not going to do it. So this is why I say entrepreneurship is an excellent tool for personal growth. Like, if that's true for you, then you're going to have to dig deep and start doing that inner work to know, like, why isn't it okay with me if I succeed? Who do I think isn't going to like me? What do I think I'm risking? Where do I feel I might be rejected? And how can I work through that so that I can bring the work that I know I was born and sent here to do out into the world and have it be received with loving arms? Number 9, I investigate, I research, and I trust my intuition. So all of that is true, right? You don't just act on your intuition. On the other hand, you do not spend all of your time researching and investigating either. You research, you investigate, you check in with your intuition, and then you move, right? Good. The last thing I have for you, hi Chester. The last thing I have for you is I show up. Number 10 is I show up. And that means you show up in whatever way you need to show up. You show up for yourself. You show up for your clients and your customers and your fans. You show up for your peers. You show up for the opportunities that are in front of you. And that too sometimes means pushing yourself. I mean, I say this as an introvert, someone who suffers from depression, a total homebody. I live in paradise. I live like a block and a half from the beach, and who'd want to leave the kitties? You know, there's dolphins and seals and perfect weather all the time, and the San Ynez Mountains. Like, why would I leave here? I never want to leave. But I have learned how to do it and when to do it and how to make the most out of those opportunities, because when you are in a room with the people that you admire and who turn you on and who are up to cool things, amazing things happen. Amazing things happen. So you've got to get an education. You've got to show up. And I've been all over. Like, I traveled to DC. I went to Dallas in August. I'm going to Phoenix in just a couple of weeks. Because God comes to us through other people. Opportunity comes to us through other people. Information comes to us through other people. Help comes to us through other people. And if you never leave the house, if you never leave your town, if you never leave your little, you know, the cell phone companies did a study, and it turns out that people only go 6 places. You are only ever at one of 6 places. Isn't that weird? But when you start going to events, then you have a 7th place, right? So give yourself a 7th place. Give yourself a place where you can learn and grow. So this is where, good, Heather says, thank you for that answer. I know what I need to do. Stop wavering each month on whether I want to continue. I'm going to show up. Good girl. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Rhonda says, defining what success means to us individually is important too, so we know when we are successful. Exactly. 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 So here's your opportunity, is to come to the Big Yes and study with me for 3 days. Let me flip. I think the offer is right. Okay, here, let me, I want to just change one thing because I realized the promo code's not on here. Technical difficulties. Okay. Good. So this is your invitation to come to the Big Yes, and then I'm going to answer all your questions, right? So hang in with me for just a minute while I talk you through this. The Big Yes is happening in LA, July 22nd to the 24th. We start actually on the evening of the 21st. We have a little cocktail meet and greet, so I can say hi to all of you. And I will also be doing a reading from my new book that's getting published in November by New World Library. So you guys will be the first people ever anywhere in the world to hear some of the new book. And we're at the Westin LAX, which is right by the airport. So you don't have to rent a car. They have a free shuttle. They've given us a great rate that I think is still available. And they have really good food, really good food. And we can accommodate you if you're gluten-free or dairy-free, or you only eat peppermint on Tuesdays or whatever. And also, we did it there last year, and I went again this year because the staff was just amazing. One of our attendees last year called down to the front desk because they have a soap that's scented and it has sort of a strong scent, she felt. So she called down to see if they had an unscented soap, and they sent somebody up with a bar of Dove. Like, how much do you love that, right? So that's why we're at the Westin LAX. I do the bulk of the teaching. I do about 80% of the teaching, but I do have some special guests this year. Most famously, SARK, Susan Ariel Rainbow Kennedy, will be presenting a keynote on succulent wild money, right? And some other speakers too. I'll talk about it in a second. But here's the offer, just so you know what we're talking about. The value of the ticket is like $2,500. Its sticker price is $799. If you use the promo code 300, you can get $300 off that price. And you can bring a friend for free. You can bring a friend for free. You just need to put down a $99 deposit so that we know to hold the chair, and then we'll give you that $99 back at the door. Okay, that's how we do that. So if you buy within 24 hours, or I'll give you till midnight on Sunday. It's a holiday weekend, so I'll give you until midnight Pacific time tomorrow, Sunday, the 3rd of July. I'll give you the Get It Done workshop, which is my flagship. I think it's 8 webinars. It's my best material. My best. It's not necessarily exclusively for entrepreneurs. It's a course that I usually sell for $365. And there's never any discounts or anything on it. So I will give you that. And if you book, for those of you who are here live, if you're watching the replay, this doesn't apply to you, but if you are here live, and if you buy while we are live here together, you'll get a free private consultation with me. I will give you a complimentary private consultation. I don't know if you've looked at my website lately, but my private consultation fee is $750 a session. So it has some value. So you get $300 off the ticket, bring a friend for free. You get the Get It Done workshop, which is on-demand webinars. If you buy while you're on live, you get a private consultation with me. And you also get put into the 365 Club, which is a year-long program that has monthly calls and daily inspiration and a Facebook page and stuff, so that you don't just come to the 3-day event and then I leave you hanging. Like, you have all year to keep the conversation going and get help. Here's what we're going to be doing, because I got some questions last time. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, it sounds great, but like, what actually happens? Here's what actually happens. Here's what you're going to get. I have this exercise that's going to give you the vision of what you actually want. All that dithering you're doing of like, maybe it should be this way, maybe it should be that way. What if I do this? What if I do that? I have a way to cut through that so that your own soul tells you the exact perfect vision for your success. And then we're going to make a business plan. We're going to talk about what you're offering, what your target market is, what your marketing strategy is, how you're pricing it, what your timeline is. And that's before lunch on the first day. So by the time we get to lunch on the first day, you will know exactly what your creative business is, who you're selling it to, how you're going to sell it, what you're pricing. Like, it's kind of a 3-day workshop all that first morning. But that's not all. We do keep going. We talk more about that easy thing, that excellent authenticity story. And yes, I've got Chetan Parkin and Carola Eastwood. You may know them from Human Design for Us All. They're human design experts. Chetan's written a bunch of books on human design. And they're going to be talking about using your natural, authentic self to move yourself forward in your life and in your business. My friend Sean Chuchuk is going to be talking about how to write the book that will build your business. We'll be talking about what makes you unique and how to do that elevator speech, how to say what you are and what you do. Sark, like I said, is talking about succulent wild money. I'm going to be doing a teaching on how to be a great communicator, in mostly in your writing, but in your speaking as well. I'm going to give you 25 business models that you may not have thought of, like ways that you can make money. Like my client Barbara, who last year she took one group, this year she took 2 groups to Italy on an art meditation retreat. How would you like that? Make a living taking people to Italy on an art meditation retreat. They stayed in a villa, they had a private chef, like not too bad, right? Or my friend Carol, who sells, $20, $30, $40 things just via email all day long, right? There's all kinds of ways to make money that you don't know about. We'll have some real life stories from some of my clients. So you can see how this actually works in real life. I'll teach you how to have a sales conversation that does not feel weird or icky or anything. It feels great and exciting and like you're helping. We'll talk about how to overcome objections when people are like, oh, I can't afford it, I don't want to. My friend Jesse Corin is coming. He's going to talk about client attraction, how to get the perfect people in the room. And then the last thing we're going to do is make a roadmap and a calendar so that you walk out of there with a plan, so that you don't just get home and go, well, great, now what? You get home and go, I know exactly what to do. So that's what the 3 days is about. There's a money back guarantee. If you come and the first day you are not pleased with what you get, you just let my team know. We will happily refund whatever you've paid. You can keep all the bonuses. I think we keep back a 10% admin fee just to help cover some of our administration costs. But otherwise, no harm, no foul. Like if it's not working for you, then it's not working for you. So if you buy before midnight on Sunday, you get $300 off your ticket, bring a friend for free, the Get It Done workshop, a year in the 365 Club, and if you buy while you're on the line with me, a private consultation with me. Now, I can't go check my email and see if people are buying, but usually that's what people do, like, yay, hooray for Marilyn, she just bought. So I'm just saying, hooray for you if you're in. And I gotta say, I added it all up, right? So if you get 2 tickets at $7.99, $365 for, like, it's almost $3,000 worth of stuff, $2,953, but you're getting for $500. That's 83% off. My little Swedish thrifty self, like, loves that. And I know maybe you're thinking like, oh, it's short notice, or now's not a good time, or maybe I'll do it next year, or I don't know if I'm ready. I am here to tell you that if this opportunity is in front of you, you are ready. And success is often inconvenient, almost always. And I would make the decision whether or not you want to go separate from the money. Because if you don't want to go, if you're like, I don't really want to go spend 3 days in Los Angeles with Sam and Sark and all those other great people, no, then it doesn't matter how much it costs, right? Who cares? It's not for you, that's fine. But if it's for you, if it's the right thing, if it's the thing that will move you forward, if it's the thing that will bring you closer to your dreams, if it's the thing that will teach you how to make it pay for itself immediately, then you need to decide yes. And once you decide, it's amazing what happens. And you've had this experience, right? Where you decide, you're like, I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to make it work. And then boom, the mechanism to make it work shows up. A couple of years ago, I had a woman named Gail who, she wrote me, I was doing a call like this, and she wrote me right afterwards, and she said, I just knew I had to do it. You were talking right to me. I knew I had to do it. And so I signed up, and I didn't know where the money was going to come from. And the next email I got, like she hit send, like buy the ticket. And the next email she got was from her landlord saying, hey, Gail, I have a friend that needs some help with some grant writing. If you help her, I'll give you next month's rent for free. Like, when instant gratification takes too long, right? So obviously I can't guarantee that that will happen for you, but I know that something will happen, that when you take positive action, something happens. So that's my advice, is decide first whether it's right for you or not. And if it is, then commit. And then no second guessing. Okay? Let me see if I had anything else I wanted to say to this. Yeah, I know you can do it. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. The world needs your work. Okay, let's go to the chat. Carol says, can people attend remotely, live stream or recording? No. I've thought about that, but it's really a live experience. It's really about being in the room. I do as much as I can for free. I do as much as I can and make it as available as I can. But that teaching is pretty high level, and I need people in the room. So yeah, thanks for asking that. It's a great question. Sel, can we register for next year with this? No, not right now. Sally B, will we get to meet or at least see Sark? You absolutely will. She's going to be there the whole 3 days. The whole 3 days. She's going to be there. She's going to be in the room. You can talk to her. Maybe you can have lunch with her. I don't know. But she's going to be there. Yes, absolutely. Will I do Big Yes next year? I don't know. I don't know, honestly. And I'm not just, I know sometimes marketers say that, but I honestly don't know. I kind of want to because it would be our 5th year and it feels like, oh, we should do it for 5 years. But it's, but I just don't know. Let me get through this year first and then I'll decide. It's a lot of work. Good. I wish I could go this year, but double booked. Yeah, I get it. Really, again, really look at what's going to get you closer to your goal. And it may mean saying no to something. It may mean investing more than you wanted to. Although I got to say, I looked at airplane flights the other day. There was like super cheap flights from New York and from Denver and from Chicago. I was amazed. So you could still get a cheap flight. Yeah, just go deep, you know, like really check in with your own inner wisdom. And if it's right for you, you may have to move mountains to get there. People do. But that's the kind of action that tells the universe that you are not kidding. That's the kind of action that lets the angels know you are serious. And when you are serious and when you are in action, all the forces conspire to be with you. That's my experience anyway. That's my experience. Good. It sounds like I'm leading a course. Yes, well, it can be difficult to be teaching and learning at the same time, so. But not impossible. So it's up to you. Good, all right, are you ready for some of these questions? Does anybody have any other questions about Big Yes or about the 10 rules for how to be a creative genius CEO? Has this been fruitful for you? Has this been useful? Do you feel like you're getting something underneath you now a little more certainty? LaRhonda, tell us about your book. Oh, I would be happy to tell you about my book. The book is called Start Right Where You Are, How Little Changes Can Make a Big Difference for Overwhelmed Procrastinators, Frustrated Overachievers, and Recovering Perfectionists. And that's being published by New World Library this fall. And I will tell you, I just did the final copy edits on it Monday and sent it back to the publishers. And for the first time since I started working on it, I really like this book. Which is not a bad object lesson about the creative process and actually about entrepreneurship. Like when I started, I thought it was a great idea and I really liked it. And then as I was working on it, I had a lot of doubts and a lot of insecurity for a lot of reasons. But I just kept working. I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. I borrowed confidence from other people. My editor really liked it. I was like, well, she wouldn't lie to me, so I guess I'll just keep going. And then finally, at the very end of the process, I'm like, okay, this works. I can stand behind this. So just so you know, like if you're waiting for things to feel all yippee-skippy all the time, it's not going to happen. Or it might, but that's just because it doesn't feel all yippee-skippy doesn't mean it's not working. Heather says, I love the title. Yay. Sally B says, thank you. See you in a few weeks. Excellent. Heather says, yes, I've posted them near my desk. Thank you. Great. Good. Mary, will you take a message offline today? I'm needing to decide between the workshop and private session with you honestly. Sure. Yeah. Just send me an email and we'll find a time to talk. Okay, so you ready for the questions? Because you guys wrote in a lot of questions. Okay, Donna says, after all the thousands of programs and studies I've done, what is your idea on how to affect an actual shift or real change? I feel I've grown, but still have the same issues. I understand the concepts, but don't know how to go about really shifting. Maybe I don't want to. I submit my question as you encouraged us to ask, even when we think we know what the teacher will say. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so I bet a lot of you are in this boat, right? You've read all the books, you've listened to the webinars, like you understand intellectually how things need to be different, but you're not seeing the results in your life. This is because you haven't actually moved. You haven't done things differently. You have not changed your behavior significantly enough to see different results. And, you know, it's like you've been reading about swimming. Like you can read about swimming all you want, and you can understand what swimming is all you want, but it's very different than what happens when you get in the pool. So you got to get in the pool. And you cannot wait to feel good about it, right? You can't wait to feel like it's the right thing or the right time or like you're ready or like it's okay with you. Like it's you're not going to. You can't do the feeling and then the behavior. You have to do the behavior and then the feeling comes of like, oh, this kind of works, right? Like I said, I wrote that whole book. My feeling was like, oh, I don't think this is working. I don't think this is very good. But my behavior said, I am writing a book. And I showed up to that book, and I showed up to my creativity, and I trusted that process, and I did it, even though I didn't feel like it, even though it didn't feel good. And it requires courage. It requires some fortitude. So yeah, you got to do it differently. So whatever it is you're not doing, whatever it is you haven't been doing, and you know what it is. You know what you've been resisting. You just have to start. And it's one of the ways why working with me and getting a tribe and being in a room with other like-minded people can really help, because it seems so scary when you're alone. But when you're with other people and you're watching them do it and her do it and him do it and him do it, you're like, oh, I could do it too, right? So yeah, you got to do it differently. You got to invest, you got to get the training, you got to move your feet. Daleen says, Mary, the offer is if you buy the event while she's online, you get the free private session with Sam, so you don't have to choose, you can have both. Right, that's true. If you buy your ticket while we are here live together on this webinar, then you get the Get It Done workshop on demand, emailed to you on Monday, and you can schedule a private session with me, and you get $300 off your ticket, and you can bring a friend for free. And did you guys get that the bring a friend thing, you just put $99 down so that we know to save a chair for them, and then we give you that $99 back at the door. So they're coming for free, we just need a deposit. It's refundable. Okay. Miranda says, thank you, Samantha, you rock. Thank you, you rock too. David says, what is most important to you? That's a great question. What is most important to me? For some reason, the word that's coming to mind is prayer. And when I say prayer, I'm thinking about my creative work. I'm thinking about beach walks. I'm thinking about loving people, living a life of love and integrity. How about that? Being impeccable with my word. That's a lot of what's important to me. My relationships. Lena says, how do I let go and put my priorities first? Yeah, well, I think the answer to that is contained in the question, isn't it? You let go and you put your priorities first. And you may have to practice out loud saying to people, oh, I realize normally I would do that for you, but I actually have a different priority right now. I'm actually prioritizing my business right now. I'm afraid I'm not available for that. Thank you for asking me, right? You just have to start telling people no. And believe me, it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. Like, you think they're all going to hate you and run away. They don't really care. They're fine. They're fine. David says that's actually great. Thank you. I'm glad you like that. Mary, how long is a private session with you at the Big Yes? Oh, the private session we'll schedule separately. It won't happen during the Big Yes because I'm busy talking to a whole room full of 100 people. We'll schedule the private session separately, and it's just as long as it needs to be. You know, I mean, if I can give you an idea that's going to make you $10,000 in the first 20 minutes of the call, why would we keep talking? On the other hand, if we need to be on the phone, you know, for longer, then we stay on for longer. So it's usually around half an hour-ish, because I work really fast. So it's not really about time, it's about results. So I stay on the line with you until you get a result that you want, and then we're done. Good. Have I found that attendees formed a tribe even bi-coastally online? Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, the first year I did it, the first year I did the Big Yes, somebody got up to the mic and said, you know, Sam, this has been so amazing, meeting all these amazing people. Like, can you pass around a thing and we can give each other, you know, and can you give us everybody's phone number or everybody's email? And I said, no. Because you know that thing where it says, like, I will never share, your information is private, I will never share or rent it? That's what that means. Like, you guys can share with each other, but I can't give it to you. But yeah, no, there's Facebook groups. I mean, there's the 365 Club Facebook group, but there's people from all over the country and all over the world. People coming from Peru and Israel and Scotland and the last thing I did, New Zealand. I mean, amazing bonds happen and lifelong friendships. It's amazing. Yeah, it's one of the things I didn't know would happen actually when I started doing the Big Yes is that, you know, we were all the weird kids, right? We were the weird kids in our family. We were the weird kids at school. And, you know, we dealt with it. We became grown-ups. We're fine. But when you get in a room with other people who were also always the weird kid, who also have a million talents and skills, who are also so empathic as to be practically psychic, like, it's incredible, the feeling of family, of real family. And it's like watching you all, it's like watching a room full of puppies. Like, everybody's so excited to be with each other. And people make friends like that. Like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You can tell just from the quality of people on this call, the level of chat on this call. The people who show up in this room are deep and interesting and cool. And they're up to some amazing stuff. They do some amazing, amazing work. Good, let's see. When I answered about how long will it take to make a profit, I think you should be profitable immediately. Victoria, I'm wondering with my skill set and age if this will work for me. Yes. Yes, I have clients up into their 70s and 80s, actually. And yes, age and skill set is not a factor. I'm sure you've noticed that there are people older and dumber than you who are making good money at their work. You can do it too. Anupama says, how do I do marketing for my talents and gifts? Yeah, that's actually something we're going to be getting into at Big Yes. The one piece of advice I might give you now is replace the word marketing with a different verb. Think about how you want to be interacting with your ideal clients. Like, do you want to whisper to them? Do you want to send them love letters? Do you want to dance with them? Do you want to whip them? Danielle Laporte has the daily whip, right? Suzanne Evans, she loves to whip her people, right? How do you know? I send poetry. You know, think of a different verb, and that might help you move forward. If you figure out what it is, that'll help you figure out how to do it more easily. Deborah says, if being lowly paid becomes a habit, how do you break that habit? It can be like a repetitive pattern that you want to break, but is also familiar. Moved on in so many ways, yet still circling the old money deal. Comfort zone stuff, I guess. Right, although you're noticing that the comfort zone isn't that comfortable. So you just got to do it. Just add a 0. Whatever you're charging now, add a 0. And if that freaks you out too much, just double your prices and offer a money-back guarantee. And I would never have done it, except I had a coach that held my feet to the fire and made me do it. I wouldn't have done it on my own, never. But once you do it, you realize people will pay for it. And in fact, the more you charge them, the more they appreciate it. This is a weird concept, I know, because it doesn't seem like it makes sense. But if you imagine, like, some shirt you pick up at the store, you know, at the big box store for a couple bucks and, you know, whatever, versus something that you an outfit that you planned for and saved for and spent money on, and how you feel about that outfit versus how you feel about the t-shirt from Target. Money is not the only indicator of value, right? Lots of things have value that have nothing to do with money. But money is one of the ways that we communicate value. So when I say a private session with me is $750, it's because I know that I can deliver to you 3 to 10 times value. I know that you will make, or can make, or will get the value of 3 to 10 times that. So somewhere between, what is that, $2,200 and $7,500, that I can deliver that to you. Or at least I can give you the opportunity. Don't wait to feel like you're worth it. Don't wait to feel ready. You just have to do it. Just do it. And again, at Big Yes, we'll talk about pricing strategies because there is some strategy to it. But that's my short answer is double your prices, offer a money back guarantee. Deborah says, thank you. I need that push out of the corner. Yep, do it. Do it. You know your work is great. You know your work is great. You're worth 3 times. You know you're going to over deliver, right? So overcharge. You'll get a better quality of people. And then you'll have more to give away, right? How do I organize all my ideas when I have so many and at the same time feel overwhelmed because of all of my obligations? Yeah, I think you might be suffering from something that my friend Amy Ehlers, my best friend Amy Ehlers, who will also be at Big Yes for a couple of days. She's not speaking, but she'll be there visiting, and so you can say hi to her too. That sounds to me like you're suffering from underwhelm. Like you've got a lot of ideas, none of which are really turning you on, and you're overcommitted to a bunch of other people on stuff that also doesn't really turn you on. So I would clean sweep all the little stuff and get going on the big stuff. There's something big that you're shying away from, that you're putting all this little stuff in front of. Go with the big stuff. And like I said, this is why we're doing this visioning work at Big Yes, so you can get clear on what that vision is immediately, right? Rose, why do I make a plan, manifest enough to accomplish my goal, then I'm flat broke after? Right, okay. I had this magical ability too. When I was working as an actor in Chicago and in Los Angeles, I could manifest the exact amount of money I needed right in the moment that I needed it. Right? I needed $175 to fix the car. Boom, $175. Oh, I need, $500 to go to the Big Yes. Boom, $500. Like, it was uncanny. So I went, okay, well, if I have that magical power, so you know that the problem's not can you make money, because you know you can. The question is the strength of your desire and your decision that you have to have it. So deciding that you need to have more money in advance of you actually needing it, and putting that same strength of focus, that same strength of desire, that same creative power behind that decision as you do behind the, oh no, I need $175 to fix the car, boom. Right? It doesn't have to be that frantic, but the strength of that, you're like, okay, I need $20,000 a month. And I'm not gonna stop until it happens. And I'm gonna get support, I'm gonna have strategy, and I'm gonna execute. Because you can do it. There's never been a better time. But what happens is you lose interest. Like, you make the money that you think you need to make, and then you're like, okay, I'm done. Let's do something interesting now. Right? So you got to keep your focus on it. You got to not let up on the gas pedal. You got to keep going. Got to keep going. Great question. Super good question. Karen says, a lot of the mindset stuff I've been reading helps, but I'm still stuck in procrastination. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for procrastination. Sometimes procrastination means your project is too big. Procrastination means your project is too big. So I would chunk it out. 15 minutes a day, every single day, before you check your email. Before you check your email. Before you check your email, spend 15 minutes on the project that matters most to you and see if that doesn't move you forward a little bit. I bet it will. Good. Wendy, I'm good at all kinds of things. What is the one with the best income? You can make money doing anything, Wendy. It's not a question of which talent will earn you the most money. It's a question of target market, who you're selling it to, and how you price it. I mean, I knew there was no limit to the amount of money that could be made by a creative person when I started to see these videos online. There's a woman who makes like roses out of radishes, like vegetable carving and fruit carving stuff. And she has these videos on YouTube, and then she sells these little knife kits and videos on how to do it and stuff. And she makes millions and millions of dollars. And this wasn't in 2009. This was when I was just starting. So we were in the depths of the recession. Nobody had any money. And this woman was making millions of dollars carving zucchinis. And I'm like, okay, anything is possible. There's plenty of money out there. There's plenty of people who want to buy stuff. There's no limit. I refuse to believe that there's a limit. So let's see. Kay says, what specific action can we take that will shift our money mindset? You know, one thing I did when I was shifting my money mindset is I started to put money everywhere, because this idea that there is tons of money out there, there's no shortage of money anywhere. There's so much money out there. People are spending all kinds of money on all kinds of things all the time. There's no reason they shouldn't be spending it on you or on your thing that you're selling. So I just started to put money everywhere. Like I'd stick a dollar bill, you know, in pockets and in drawers and with the forks in the kitchen, and like under my pillow, in the car. So it felt like just every time I turned around, I was like, look, there's more money. Look, there's more money. Look, there's just money everywhere. There's money everywhere. And I still do that. Now I do it with 20s. Like I stick 20s just all over the place. And so I'm like, oh, look, it's $20. It's just as much fun as it ever was. So that's one action you can take that will help me anyway. Jennifer, how do I get out of my own way? You make whatever you're working on more important than your fear. That's how you get out of your own way. You can think of it like this. Like I said, I live right near the ocean, and you know how it is with the ocean. When you first go in, it's kind of cold, right? So you're like, oh, it's cold. Oh, I don't know if I want to go in. Oh, and people stand there, and the waves get up to their knees or so, and oh, right. And they have there's a fear, there's a discomfort, there's an anxiety. But if there was somebody there who needed your help swimming out there, you would dive in like that, right? Because your desire to help them would be stronger than your fear or discomfort at the cold water. Your customers and clients need you. They're in the water, waving at you, saying, help me, help me, help me. And when your desire to help them, and whether that's through your teaching or your healing or your artwork or your books or your movies or your ukuleles or your whatever it is you're doing, when your desire to serve them becomes stronger than your fear and discomfort, you will move. You will get out of your way, and you will make it happen. I live in Australia and facilitate women's spirituality groups. This is from Sarah. I would love to go online so others can join me in sacred ceremony. Yes, well, I think you should. Making money online is fantastic. I heartily approve. I have a lot of clients in Australia and New Zealand. It's lots of fun. Come to Big Yes. You can fly direct to LA from almost anywhere in Australia, I think. Let's see, Michelle. Hi, Sam, I have 2 questions. As an interior designer for 16 years, I'm finding I'm in a surprising lull in passion for my design work. I'm not sure if it's burnout or time for a change or just part of the creative life cycle. Any suggestions? Yeah, so that's often true. When you achieve a level of mastery in your work, you're gonna be a little bored. You're gonna be a little bored, and that means you're a master. So you're poised to make some real money. You probably want to start changing your business systems so that you're not doing the stuff that bores you. You probably will need to raise your prices by quite a bit so that when you are working, you're getting better compensated, and you probably need to bring some other people in. You probably need some team at this point. And then that'll free you up to do something more fun and interesting, because I think you need to keep your creative self fueled and aflame, right? So it doesn't mean quit the business, but you may need to start to restructure a little bit so that you're not doing the boring stuff, and the stuff you are doing, you're really well compensated for, and you have enough time to do the stuff that turns you on, right? Okay, good. Stacy, what is the additional cost beyond the $800 airfare or hotel? Okay, so use the promo code 300 and it's only $499. The hotel has a group rate for us that I think is $159 a night, and you may be able to find a roommate. Sometimes there are people on the our Facebook page that are looking for roommates. We don't set that up, but I can give you the page and you can look for someone. You don't have to rent a car because we're right by the airport. If you want to do lunch with us, you can do a lunch upgrade that I think is $160 something. It's a great deal. You get lunch on Friday, lunch on Saturday, and then breakfast on Sunday. And it's, like I said, it's really good food. I'm there to do extra Q&A and stuff, so you get a little extra yummies for having lunch with me. But mostly it's worth it because otherwise, we finish, we break for lunch, and now you have to go find a place to eat and go sit down and get the check and split the check and do they have food and get out there in time and get back to the ballroom, and it's just kind of a hassle. If, however, you do the lunch with us thing, then you can just breeze right out into the next room, sit down, have lunch, process, get to know people, talk to me, and really have it be restful and a recharge in the middle of the day. It's also a buffet, so that's usually the only meal I eat all day is that lunch. It's pretty filling. So that's it. Cost for the room. If you want to buy lunch with us, you're also welcome to bring your own food or find another place to eat. It's not mandatory. Just a suggestion. Yeah, and then airfare, if you need airfare, yeah, that's there. But you can check like Southwest and JetBlue. They're having some amazing deals right now. Suzanne says, do you have a question? Yes, however, it involves an unusual set of circumstances, and I don't know how to articulate it. Okay. I've heard numerous coaches talk about having been in deep financial debt, yet they were able to pay for coaching, and that is what made all the difference. That's true. That was my experience too. No one shares how they were able to secure the funds for coaching while in significant debt. In my past experience, online coaching programs are not adequate for my needs. Any suggestions for this catch-22? I was challenged once to let go of the belief that you have to have money to make money. How does a coach launch without having money or credit access? Yeah. So when I really started to take my business to the next level, I invested with a coach. And yeah, it was more money than I'd ever spent on anything. It was more money than I'd spent on a car. It was a lot. And I did not have it. I've never had a budget for that kind of thing. But I knew I needed it. I knew I needed guidance. I knew I needed support. I knew I needed to be around other people who were up to the same kinds of things that I was up to. I knew I needed the structure. I knew I needed the container. So I was willing to do it. And I just told myself I had to make the money, again, before the American Express bill came, and I did. I did not stop until that money was in the door. You don't have to spend money to make money. You just have to make money, right? You just get on the phone and start talking to people until you find someone who needs what you have, is happy to pay full price for it, and will tell their friends. I realize that sounds like an oversimplification, but it's actually not. I had one client who, she kept insisting that she was hopeless at marketing. Like, she would sort of start to write a blog, but then she wouldn't finish it, and her website was kind of not really done, and she wasn't really that active on social media, and she was like, oh, I'm helpless, I'm hopeless. But she had the ability to talk to a wall. I mean, she could have a conversation with anyone. So she was constantly getting on consultations with me and being like, well, no, the blog's not done, the website's not done, the Facebook thing's not done. But I was in line at the grocery store the other day, and I met this woman, and don't you know, she totally needs what I do, and she's paying me $6,000. And, oh, I was at this event, and I met the bartender, and he's this, and I was on the plane, and I got in a conversation with this person, and they're going to do this for me. Like, it was amazing. She just talked in the way that she loved to talk to people before she was in business. And that's how she grew her business. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It requires commitment. It requires a decision. And it requires the commitment to see that decision through and not second guess yourself and not back off it. It does sometimes mean acquiring debt, which is not optimal. It's kind of the unspoken secret from a lot of people of how much debt they incurred building their business. You can also do a Kickstarter. You can ask for it for a birthday present. You can, make a list. My friend Steph Tuss taught me this. I love this. Make a list of 30 ways that figure out how much money you actually need, right? Probably double it, just because things always cost more than you think they're going to. And then figure out 30 ways that money could come in. And then pick one and do it. This is a great strategy too if you have a spouse or a partner who's going to be rolling their eyes at you for doing something like this. If you do that exercise of writing out 30 ways, pick one and do it, and then go to them and say, hi, honey, I've decided to go spend the weekend with Sam Bennett in Los Angeles. It's going to cost this amount of money. These are 30 ways I thought of that we could create that money, or I could create that money. I've done this one already. Do you have any suggestions for me? And when you show them that you have decided and you are serious and you are taking action and responsibility for your decision, they'll get on board, my experience, right? Let's see. Deb says, I'm not sure if I can free the dates, but if I signed up with a friend and we don't make it from East Coast to West, will we still have access to you for your free coaching session and online tribe? And also, what's the Facebook page? Yeah, absolutely. You would get all the bonuses for sure. And the Facebook page is part of the 365 Club. So that's that year-long membership thing that I said, where there's a monthly call with me. There's daily email inspiration if you want that. You'll also get access to like 1 billion hours of recordings that aren't available anywhere else. So that's an advantage if you like that. And the Facebook page is that group. So people post questions, they post wins, they post nervous breakdowns, they post, all kinds of stuff. So it's a private page, so no one else can see what you post on there except for the other people in the 365 Club who are amazing. Good. So yeah, go to bigyesrevolution.com, use the promo code 300. You get a ticket to the event. You can bring a friend for free if you want. You get the Get It Done workshop. You get the 365 Club. And if you do it while we're live online, you get a private consultation with me and with Chester. Chester will also weigh in on your business. The 365 Club, it's just a bonus in with this. If you're going to buy it separately, it's not very much. I think it's $10 a month or $60 for the year. I wanted to have something that pretty much everybody could afford. So I kept it super, super, super low cost, but it's also, it's not a lot of, it's good. It's fun. I love the 365 Club. Yeah, can we sign up for a friend? Sure. It's okay with me. If it's okay with them, it's okay with me. Or you can just give your friends the information and they can sign themselves up. Let's see. Jennifer says, how to overcome burnout. Yeah. So burnout to me is one of two things. It either means you're exhausted, in which case you need to replenish. And if you're super exhausted, the replenishing may be a much bigger project than you think. So, hi. So, rest before you get tired. Really start paying attention to your diet and how much sunshine you're getting and how much spiritual restoration is happening in your life. And make that the #1 priority, because honey, if you're burned out, then there's nothing for anybody. And you feel like, oh, it's selfish, I can't take time for that. No, it's selfish for you to be walking around all burnt out, right? Because then the rest of us don't get the best of you. But when you're rested and fed and meditated and cuddled and walked and, creatively fulfilled, then you can have what you want, right? Then you're bringing your best self to the world. The other thing burnout means is sometimes it's just that you're bored. It doesn't mean you're tired, it means you're bored. In which case, challenge yourself, double down, Like I said, put a 0 on the end of it. You're trying to sell 10 things, sell 100. Trying to sell 100, sell 10,000. You know? Like, see if you can't double dog dare yourself into getting interested again. I personally find that impossible things are much easier for me than regular ordinary things. Right? Apparently it's impossible to get a book published these days. But I did it, and it was fun and easy and profitable. Apparently it's impossible to get people into a room for a live event, but for the last 4 years I've done it, and it's been amazing, right? Apparently, yeah, all kinds of things are impossible. Apparently it's impossible to build a business on poetry, but I did that. Now, regular ordinary things like riding a bicycle or having a birthday party, I can't do those things. I'll tell you about it at Big Yes, but I really can't. But you know, set yourself an impossible goal. See if you can't get interested in it. The link to Big Yes is www.bigyesrevolution.com, bigyesrevolution.com, and use the promo code 300, 300. That'll knock the price down to $4.99. Sal, if they cannot go to dates or decide against, can we refund? I think we're actually past the refund date on this. I think we're actually past the refund date on this, but it is transferable. You could give it to somebody else. I think that would be okay. You have to check with the team. I'm not quite sure, but I think we're past the point of refund because we're just so close to it. Like we can't. Does that make sense? Okay, Margie says, I have no problem asking for money with my creative work. Just how do I stand out, show my uniqueness within other similar work? Yeah, great question. Let's see. Oh, here, let me type. I can type in the link here too, just so you know. Big Yes Revolution.com. Promo code 300. $300 off. So how do I stand out, show my uniqueness with other similar work? Okay, so there's no such thing as competition. Nobody's you, nobody's doing your thing your way. Even people who are doing exactly the same thing aren't doing it your way. So you need to figure out, and again, we spend a lot of time on this at Big Yes, so I hope you're coming. But really digging into the values, the what makes you you, what makes you matter. And maybe it's something almost unrelated, you know, like if you're a plumber and a vegan, be the vegan plumber, you know, let that have you stand out. You know, if you're local, if you're old, if you're, whatever it is that whatever it is that makes you think you can't succeed is the thing that's going to like really rocket fuel you to success. Like, I don't have a college degree. Great. You're the undereducated coach, you know? Undereducated is probably not the word I would use, but, you know, you can turn what you think are your limitations or your liabilities into assets because it's part of your story. It's part of what makes you real and part of why people relate to you. So lean into that which is unique about you and you will be unique. Does that make sense? Good. Okay. Stacy says, I told you, these are good questions, right? I had to do all of them because they were so good. And if you guys have questions, you can type in. I'm all about it. Unless, of course, you're busy going to bigyesrevolution.com and putting down 300, promo code 300. Stacy, how do I feel truly worthy of all the money I want? Okay. I think there's a fundamental misconception inside that question. I don't think you need to feel worthy of the money. I don't know that even if you can feel worthy of the money, if you're worth it, because they're not giving it to you because you're you. I mean, so first of all, you're not going to perceive your own worth because you don't have your problem, right? The thing you do, you teach, you make, you design, you sell, that comes to you effortlessly, pretty much. Like you just do that automatically. So you think like, this isn't really worth that much. Anybody can do this. No, they can't. They can't. So the question is not what is it worth to you? The question is what is it worth to them? Right? You gotta get your focus off yourself. This isn't about you. This is about them. This is about that person in the water who needs you, right? They need you. And whether they need you because they're overweight and they need a health coach, or they need you because they've just moved into a big loft and they've got a giant wall and they need a huge oil painting to impress their friends, or they need you because they have a teenage child that they don't know how to talk to anymore, or they need you because they're in spiritual crisis and they don't know who to turn to, or they need you because they want to write and they don't know how to write, or they want to whatever. They need you because they want something unique and special. I have a friend who does handcrafted knitting and she makes things. And somebody come up to her in a coffee shop the other day and say, your scarf is so beautiful. Like, basically she offered to buy it off of her. And Lanny was like, oh, no, I could never charge enough, considering how much time and artistry goes into making it. And she uses these super high-end yarns. She's like, there's no way I could ever charge enough to make that worthwhile. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, you turn to that woman and you say, yes, you can buy it. It's, $1,200. It's $5,000. Charge whatever you want for it. And do you know how much joy that woman would get out of that? Right? She'd be at the next dinner party going, this scarf, it's handmade. I met the artist in a coffee shop and she didn't want to sell it to me, but then I gave her $1,200 and now it's mine and I get to wear the special thing that nobody else has. People love that stuff, right? So they need you. How much is it worth it to that woman to have a moment of connection with art, to feel beautiful in what she's wearing, to feel like she's dressed differently than all her friends, that there's something in her life that was made with love? How much is that worth? Now, especially for Lanny, because she lives in Silicon Valley, so there's a lot of people up there with a lot of money to spend and not that much to spend it on, right? So what is it worth? What is it worth to have great sex with your spouse or partner? What is it worth to feel more beautiful and more confident? What is it worth to read a story that soothes your heart or makes you laugh? It's not what it's worth to you, it's what it's worth to them, right? They're in the water and they need you. Dive in. Deb says, so $7.99 minus $300 is $4.99 for the 3 days. Yes, it doesn't accept a code 300, so I'm confused. That's weird. What is the total cost? $199 after code or $4.99 after code? Okay, so it should be $4.99 after you put it should say $7.99, and then you put the promo code in of 300, 300, and that should bring it down to $4.99. And if you bring a, right, so that's what it is for the 3 days, just for you. If you want to bring a friend, that'll add on $99 for the deposit, but we give you that $99 back at the door. And if you want to add lunch, add lunch. If you want to add 2 lunches, add 2 lunches. Does that make sense? And then we'll get you you'll get the welcome email right away so you can book your hotel. And you want to do that right away because I know they're running out of rooms. And what was I just going to say about this? And then we'll get you the Get It Done workshop and tell you how to book an appointment with me and stuff on Tuesday because it's a holiday here in the US. So yeah, does that make sense, Deb? Have I explained that properly? Yes, thanks. Okay, good. Okay, Anne says, help with time management. Right, okay, so I kind of got to call bullshit on the time management thing. Right, Kitty? Totally. Please. So interested in everything. Here's why I gotta call bullshit on the time management thing. We all get the same 24 hours a day. Nobody gets more time than anybody else, right? So it's not that you're not managing your time, you're not managing your thinking. You're not managing your priorities. You're not letting yourself stay clear and focused and decisive and move forward. You're not staying in your zone of genius, your zone of excellence. You are not doing what's authentic. You are not telling a good story. You are not saying yes. You're saying yes to too many things. Like even I have to do this sometimes. Like I'll get an email and somebody's doing, the latest training on Facebook lead ads. And I'm like, ooh, that looks exciting. I could do that. And the next thing I know, I've spent 45 minutes learning about an ad strategy that I'm probably never going to use. And so now I ask myself, is this the highest and best use of my time right now? Is this my highest income producing activity? Is this my highest joy income producing activity? No. I can learn about Facebook ads some other time. Or better yet, I can have somebody on my team learn about it. Or better yet, I can hire somebody who already knows about it and get their expertise, right? You've got to start taking your work seriously enough so that you don't get distracted. So that's it. Okay, there's a couple more questions, unless you guys have more. I can't believe you all are still hanging in here. There's so many of you. That's beautiful. Thank you. I'm delighted. I love spending this morning with you. I should do this more often. Who's this from? Karen. How do I get all the ideas in my head out and organized to see what I have to work with? Me, I like index cards. That's how I get all the ideas out of my head and get them organized. And in fact, when I was writing the Get It Done book, when the very, very, very first started writing the book, I didn't really know what I wanted it, how I wanted it to be. And of course I had that thing of like, oh, it has to be perfect inside of my mind before I start writing. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just let the book tell me what it wants to be. So every time I had an idea for something that I thought should be in the book, I'd write it on an index card. And then I put it in a big manila envelope on my desk labeled Genius. And after a couple of weeks, I opened that up and sorted things out. And I was like, oh, well, here these ideas sort of all clump up, and these ideas sort of all clump up, and maybe I should do this. And oh, if I'm going to write about these two things, then there should probably be this third thing. So that helped me a lot. So index cards. That's my vote. Shelley says, scared to make the leap. I'm working my day job. It's a decent paying gig, secure, etc., but it isn't really my passion. I've recently started a podcast. I love podcasting, but it pays zero, and I don't have the time to devote as I'm working full-time at the day job. I need courage to take the leap. How do I know when to do that? Okay, so my experience is that by the time you are asking yourself, should I quit this job? Or sometimes it looks like, should I leave this relationship? The ship has kind of already sailed. Basically, you've already decided, and you're just looking for validation or permission. So I give you validation and permission. You are allowed to quit your job. Go for it. Or don't. And I know, and part of the reason I can encourage you to do it is because you're asking the question. Like, you're not saying, how do I make it work with my day job? Which would be I would give you a different answer. In the same way that you're not saying like, oh, how can I, find a therapist so my partner and I can work out some of the difficulties we're having? That's a different question from, should I leave this relationship or should I leave this job? Like, if you're thinking, I'm kind of done and I want to leave, then you're done and leave. Like, you're not doing anybody any favors hanging around. And, some people love to, they need a nest egg, they want the security, they want to transition slowly, that's really works for them. Sure. I'm more of a jump off the building and build your wings as you fly down kind of person. So, I say go for it. You can always get another job. There's no shortage of jobs out there. You guys are super smart. You're super great at what you do. I think you can always get another job if you wanted one. So, and you're right that it's tricky to monetize a podcast, though. You're probably going to have to do something else to bring the money in the door until you get some really good readership, listenership, and then you can, have advertisers or sponsors. So I would look at that, how can you support yourself as you're building that audience? But yeah, go for it. Remember, courage is strength of the heart. Courage is strength of the heart. And if you really believe that what you're doing helps people, that person who's in the water out there, then you got to dive in and go get them. Dive in and help them. Deb says, can I add the meal package later? 100%. Yes, you can add the meal package later. That's no problem. You can also bring a friend later, if that helps. Yeah, for sure. This is my water with apple cider vinegar. So I know it looks like I'm drinking swamp water, but really I'm not. Okay. Carol, do you have a question? Paper, emails, info overload, and backlog. What to do? Yeah, it's a problem, right? I use an elaborate system of legal pads to run my business, and especially now, like when I'm prepping for Big Yes, it gets a little overwhelming. All right, so without a lot more information, it's going to be a little, take this advice or leave it. To take what works for you and leave the rest, because it's going to be a little hard for me to say. The backlog, I would try not to worry about it. Like if it's gone this long without you paying any attention to it, you can probably just let it go, right? You can probably just delete it, delete the old emails, throw away the old paper, like be done, just be done. I realize that might feel a little risky, especially to the perfectionists among you. And it triggers a little bit of my perfectionism too, of like, well, what if there's something important in there? Well, if there was something important in there, first of all, you probably would remember. And second of all, there would be a reminder, like, somebody would contact you again. My friend Shiloh says, I was complaining about somebody not getting back to me after a phone call. And she's like, oh, please, I wait for 3 or 4 phone calls. Otherwise, I just think they're not really serious about wanting to talk to me. I was like, you what? I don't know that I would recommend that, but I appreciate the spirit behind it of like, if people really want to reach out to you, then they will. And if you don't get back to them, they'll reach out to you again. Otherwise, for email, there's a thing I use called unroll.me, UNROLL.me, unroll.me. And for all my subscriptions to things, all the newsletters and stuff from Nordstrom and all that stuff, that gets consolidated into one email. So I can just scan it once a day and be done. That's helpful. Unroll.me is the name of that. I'll type that in too so you can have that asset. Deb says, okay, I clicked. Who else is coming with me? Anybody else online right now who wants to make this swim? Deb, I'm so pleased. Oh, I'm so proud of you. That's great. Yeah, unroll.me. Oops. Will help with your email consolidator, I guess. Let's see, what else? The other thing about paper is I would use Post-its so that, because the problem with organizing paper, this is why it takes so long, is because you have to read it. So if you read it and then take a Post-it note, and so take it, while you're watching reruns of Seinfeld or whatever, just take a stack of paper with you every night when you sit down to watch whatever TV you watch, or listen to whatever podcast or whatever it is you do in the evening to relax. Take a stack of paper with you, look at it, and then have a Post-it note and write on the Post-it note like Jennifer's summer camp or Stephen's medical bills or idea for a book or whatever it is, so that then it's labeled as what it is, so that the next time you come across it, you don't have to read it, you know what it is, you go, oh yes, that goes in the file with Jennifer's medical stuff or whatever, right? So that's my big tip around paper. But just chip away at it. Don't let it get you down. Just keep going and don't let it stop. Don't get into this thing of like, oh, I have to have everything organized and perfect before I move forward. No, you can move forward the way you are right now. You're perfect. It's exactly the way you are right now. I know you can do this. I know that the world needs your work. I know that that idea that's on your heart is real. And I know you can do it. And I know you don't feel certain. I know it feels like it seems weird or like nobody else is doing this or my family doesn't get it. Your family's never going to get it, by the way. They're not going to get it. That's not what they're here for. Not only will you putting yourself in the CEO position of your creativity, the CEO position of your life, the CEO position of your financial life, make you better and stronger, happier and more fulfilled, more resilient, so much more resilient. Dude, you have no idea. Things happen so fast now. Things that would have sent me to bed for 6 weeks. I'm like, whatever, next. Like, you just learn how to deal with stuff in a whole different way because you understand when you are a solopreneur, when you are an entrepreneur, particularly working creatively, every result you have is an action is because of you. You create your results. So if you're wondering like what's going on, just look at your results and you'll know immediately where you need to grow and what you need to learn to do, where you're being called forward. So I know you can do it. I know that you can. Live by the beach, have the life you want, make the money you want, help the people you want, do the art you want, have the impact on the world that you want. I know you can do it. You would not be here. You would never have even seen my name. Come to the big yes. We can make it happen. You will make a plan. You will get the support you need. We'll give you the strategies and the insights. 3 days can turn your life around. $500 can turn your life around. You know what happens when you turn around? You get a whole new view. All right? Does anybody have any other questions before we wrap up here? Emma says, incredible. I just told my mother about that paper tip just yesterday, and she looked at me like I had 3 heads and was stupid. Yeah, okay. So here's the thing. Go where you are celebrated. You know, don't show your babies to the vultures. Do not go to the empty cookie jar. Do not try to get support from people who are not capable of supporting you, right? Your mother loves you very much. She wants what's best for you. She doesn't get it, she doesn't get it. Like, don't worry about it. You don't have 3 heads. You're not stupid. It's a brilliant idea. It's what I do. We're right. She's wrong. She's allowed to be wrong. It's fine. But yeah, go to the people who celebrate you and love you. Jane says, been on a joyous path for the past 2 years. Your book was a big part of it. Thank you. And total unexpected setback 5 days ago. PTSD hit like Katrina. Have to get back on the horse. But the state of terror is back. Refuse to stay in that state. But have you ever experienced something like that? Deep breathing and yoga and all, but how to ride over the sick to the stomach feeling and get on the horse real fast. Okay, so Jane, first of all, thank you so much. I'm so pleased to have been part of your process, and congratulations. And yeah, in fact, I now identify that nauseated, sort of swirling feeling as a sign that whatever it is I'm contemplating, I must do. Like if I've got that the bottom's falling on my stomach, I feel kind of swirly, and the voices in my head are going like, no, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. No, no, people like us don't do things like that. You can't do that. Then I know I'm onto something good, and I have to. I have to. So I now reinterpret those signals from my body, the signals that say, you're going to die if you do that. People will laugh at you. It'll be horrible. That's like code for you must do this thing. So I'm like, great, now I feel nauseated and I think I can't do it, so therefore I have to. Thanks. So yeah, there's just nothing to it but to do it. And take really good care of you. Make sure that, like I said, you're fed and you're slept and you're cuddled and you have, you know, you've talked to your friends, and don't avoid the people that bring you down. Just call them back later. You know, really protect yourself. And get in community with people who are doing the same thing and taking the same risks. And yeah, yoga's great, breathing is great, good food is great. You know, whatever works, whatever works. And you're going to need a ton of different strategies because different things are going to scare you in different ways. And as you may have heard said, new level, new devil. Like, it's not like it gets less scary, right? The old things get less scary because now you've done them before. The first time you do anything, it's going to be hard and scary. But then you've done it and you're like, oh, okay, that's not so bad. I can do that. And then you get to some new level of complexity or some new level of challenge or some new level of visibility of having to, like, I freaked out when that book was coming out. I freaked out. It's like, the realization that I would not be able to stand at every bookstore and talk to everyone about whether or not buying this book was really the right thing for them was very upsetting to me. Like, I really wanted to control that experience for people and make sure that, you know, it was right for them. And being that visible and calling myself a writer, I still don't really think of myself as a writer, even though clearly I am. But yeah, it's how you know where to grow. That terror is showing you where to grow. That terror is the dragons at the gate. That terror is what you walk through to make you stronger and better. And more fragile and more vulnerable and kinder and more compassionate. You do your work. Do your inner work. Do your outer work. Do your inner work. Do your outer work. What Big Yes is all about. We zigzag back and forth constantly between the inner work, the mindset, the confidence, the strategy, and the outer work, the tips, and strategy, and you know, the hardcore information that you need to move forward. Deb says the physical symptoms of excitement feel a lot like anxiety and dread. I agree, it's usually signaling importance, yeah. Gwen says, as a cowgirl, sometimes it's best to let someone else ride that horse for a while. Doing it alone is not always safe, for sure. Jane says, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad that helped. Deborah said, Sam, your advice is always so balanced and healthy. Thanks for this immense, wonderful learning curve. 365 Club and Get It Done are so cool, and the Big Yes sounds amazing. Thanks for all. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, everybody. All right, well, we are at almost 2 hours, so I'm delighted to have had this time with you. Does anybody have anything else they want to say? I hate to wrap these things up, and then just as I hit done, somebody types in some amazing question, and I'm like, oh, where was that 2 minutes ago? So if you have something you're wondering about, or something that's confusing you or upsetting you, or just feels sticky or messy, like I can't get out past, like I know it's stupid, but I can't get past this thing or that thing. Because it's not stupid, not if you can't get past it, right? I want you to get unstuck. It's important to me that you get unstuck. David said, just loved it. I'm so glad, David Christopher. Thank you. I should say your whole name, David Christopher. Thank you. I'm so glad you loved it. I love doing this work. Can you tell? I love doing this work. And the Big Yes is the joy of my life, to spend 3 days in a room with creative people who are on fire for what they're doing, who are eager to learn, who are putting things into practice, who are like, and we do it like right there. Like a couple of years ago, there's a woman, some of you may know, Marianne Udell. Marianne was talking about how she kind of wanted to have like a show, like the Oprah. And I'm like, well, then do it. Just do it. Just at the next break, go out and make a video of yourself. Call it A Moment with Marianne, and just make a video every day. And you have your own TV show right there. And she was like, blink, 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 what? And she did it. She did it at the break. She posted it on Facebook, and she's been doing it. Now she's got hundreds of videos. And doing it every day moved her right past her perfectionism and right past her, oh, my hair doesn't look right, and oh, I look old, and oh, what am I saying, and oh, is this right? Like, and she started to see, what do people respond to? What do they want from her? What do they like? What did she like? You know, and now she started to build a business. She still has her full-time job, but she started to build this business so that when she retires from her full-time job, she's got this thing that's already going, right? So yeah, we do the work in the room. You will see the transformation in the room. Carol says, when the mind is really muddled with too many choices about what to do in life, as well as how to proceed on creative ideas, how do you recommend finding the path in the moment? Well, first, like I said, I would get the ideas out of your head, because part of the problem is they're bonging around in there. There's probably not as many as you think there are. You're just having them over and over again. And then, so I would get them all out. Like I said, I use index cards. And then really go deep on what you want. What do you want for your life right now? And you may want a bunch of things, but really force yourself to prioritize. Like, it may be financial. Like, I just need to bring in more money. That's all there is to it. And then you sort of go, okay, so where's the low-hanging fruit? What's the easiest, what's the fastest path to cash? What's the way I can make, you know, $10,000 quick, quick, quick? And then you look at your ideas and see which one lends itself to that. But it may be, you know, I really need a challenge. I need a creative challenge. I want to feel like a beginner again. Great, which of your ideas lead you in that direction? Because the desire is the gas in your tank. Right? When you allow yourself to get confused, like I said, you're talking yourself in and out of things with your quote unquote logical brain, which means you just spin, which is just a big waste of time and energy. When you tune into what you really truly desire, you get clarity and you've got energy with that desire. So either you're not allowing yourself to admit what it is you really want, like you think maybe it's not okay for you to want what you want, or you think you can't. Like, well, I want that, but I could never have it. And sometimes, you can do some deep inquiry. It may take, you may ask yourself the question 50 times on a piece of paper. What do I want? Answer. What do I want? Answer. What do I want? Answer. What's that? I've never heard that make that sound before. That's so weird. What is that? I thought this thing was unplugged. That phone never rings. It's your future calling you, saying, come to Big Yes. That's so strange. Yeah, so go deep on your desire, because that's what's going to get you there. That's what's going to move you past all that confusion. Sel says, I had signed up on Big Yes, but then dates conflicted with course teaching, but my friend who was going still gets me the thing, should I just sign her up? I cannot get a hold of her. I'm not sure if she would go solo. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, honey. You know your friend. You can make the best judgment. It'll be fine. Everything's okay. Les says, I'm 78 years old and resonate with your message. I'm so glad. Good. Yes, this is not an age-limited thing. Emma says, this has been great. It's 5 a.m. on Sunday morning in Australia right now. Thanks for waking up so early, Emma. Thank you for being here. I love that about you. Stacy says, I'm so scared to commit to this LA trip, and I'm trying to grow the balls to do it before you end this webinar. Stacy, girl, I double dog dare you. Can you feel, all right, here, do this. Imagine that there's somebody else who's like you but different, right? And they're on this webinar and they're wringing their hands. I don't know. I've tried other workshops before. I really like Sam, but LA is so far and I don't know what to do and I hate crowds and right. But then there's also a little voice going like, oh, but do it. Like, think of your work. Think of what it could mean, right? And what would you say to some other person? You'd say, honey, try it. Do it. You can never lose on an investment in yourself. You invest in other things, then it's possible to lose. But when you invest in yourself, when you invest in your own education, your own personal growth, your own development, that always pays off immediately. Sometimes just the investment pays off. Like that was part of it. When I signed up for that super crazy expensive high-end coaching program, which was worth every dime, sometimes I think they could have just charged me the money and not done anything else. Because sending that message to myself, like I had never invested in that way in myself. But it was a way of me saying, I'm doing this. I'm going to make this work. I am worth it. The people I work with are worth it. My work is worth it. I'm going to make this happen. And it was like my inner self was like, oh shit, I think she's serious. Right? There was something like putting that money down was like, oh, this is real. Like shit just got real. And it motivated me. Like I said, it lit a fire under me. It doesn't do that for everybody. For some people, investing, money shuts them down and makes them feel small and upset and confuses them. But for me, it worked wonders. It worked wonders. Here's something I talk about in the new book too. This might help you as well. I learned a phrase to help manage my anxiety and my depression. And the phrase is this, you ready? Nothing bad is happening. Nothing bad is happening. Right? So I'm running late, I'm stressing out, I think, Sam, nothing bad is happening. So you arrive later than you thought, nothing bad is happening. You invested in a workshop, nothing bad is happening. You're coming to LA to hang out with Sark and Sam and Amy Ehlers and Chetan Parkin and Sean Shuchuk and Jesse Corin, nothing bad is happening. Right? Nothing bad is happening. Even when it feels like bad things are happening, nothing bad is happening. You can handle it. You've handled everything up to now. You're a great problem solver, and you won't be alone. That's half of it. You guys keep trying to do this all by yourselves. And yet, it is a solitary journey, but that doesn't mean you can't get help from other people. So be in a room of energized creatives who are up to super cool stuff, be able to ask questions and get insights and get that clarity. Like, I got these worksheets and exercises. Dude, I will not let you stay confused. I won't have it, because we can't work until you get clear. So that's why we do it first thing. Like I said, before lunch, Friday morning, you are clear. Nothing bad is happening. Emma says, at one point, I think I was asleep, but still listening, and I felt like you were reprogramming my unconscious. Yes, that's my plan, to get inside your mind. I know when I still subscribe to a thing that my mentor does and attend his events, and I've got a bunch of different teachers and coaches that I work with. Because I'm still, like I said, new level, no devil, right? Every time I'm doing something new, I've got stuff I need to work on. So I pay God's own money for coaches and teachers. And it's true, I get their voice in my head. And I love that. It's like a form of reparenting almost, when you can start to replace the chatter and the put down and the vicious self-criticism and self-loathing that I don't know about you guys, but that's what my life was like for inside my head for most of my life. And then I finally started to replace those voices with the voices of other people who were smarter than I was and calmer. And sure enough, you can change the way you think, especially when you change the way you behave, especially when you take something that feels like a risk. But it's a calculated risk. I mean, you're not like throwing money into the stock market. You know, you're betting on you. And I know you can do it. And you're betting on me, and I appreciate that. And like I said, if you get here and it's not the right thing, we'll give you your money back, less 10% admin, no problem. James says, is there a way to get local support group for Get It Done readers? Sure, I would assume. I don't know what you mean by local. I don't know where you are, Jane, so I don't know what local means to you. But you could start a meetup group, and just see, say meet up for creatives who want to work through Sam's Get It Done, Sam Bennett's Get It Done group, and see who shows up, or start making some calls and have a book group, have a little study group. You know, the way people did with Artist Way for many years, and still do with Artist Way. You're welcome to go ahead, create that. I'm all for it. You can also ask on the 365 Club page if you're in 365 Club by coming to Big Yes, or I often bonus it into other programs, so maybe you've already done that. You see if anybody's there who wants to do it. I remember the last time I taught Get It Done Live, there were some people who were like, this was so great, I want to do it again. Who wants to meet with, set up like some accountability, so we'll watch the videos and like, I don't know, but they did email or call each other afterwards about their commitments and their accomplishments to stay accountable. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways to do that. And again, it's all about other people. This is that, that number 10 on the list of how to be a creative genius CEO is show up. Show up for yourself, show up for your dreams, show up for other people. And really the right people, my big thing lately is being impeccable with your word. Hang around geniuses who are impeccable with their word, people who are better tennis players than you are, right? And you may feel a little outclassed, but that's okay. That's okay, because first of all, you're not outclassed, you totally belong. And they'll make you better. They'll make you better. And when you are with people who get you and who get your value system and who understand what it is you're up to and can support you in that, it all gets so much easier. This is the thing that most people don't understand about sales, and we'll talk about this a lot on Sunday at Big Yes on the last day. They think that sales, like you have to convince somebody. We never convince anybody. Have you ever tried to convince anybody? Does that ever work? Has anybody ever convinced you? Like, hardly ever. It's like nagging. It just doesn't work. We want people who are already convinced. We want people who are already into what you're doing, people who are already fans, people who already love what you're up to. Right? They love other ukulele music, they're going to love you. They love other yoga classes, they're going to love yours, right? And we find those people who are already into it. So when you show up and you meet all these other people who are like-minded and who are, can point you in the direction, it's just so much easier, right? Oh, you're in Evanston. I grew up in Chicago. So yay. Yay, I went to Northwestern. Go Wildcats. Yeah, I'm sure there's people. Emma says, yes, I really relate to the reparenting. I listen constantly to Esther Hicks and Matt Kahn to do that. Yeah. Really be careful what you're putting inside your brain. Like I listen to inspirational stuff, Byron Katie and David Nagel and all kinds of people all the time. Yeah, just keep it going. We're on the state of continuous improvement, right? Em says, if Jane is either anywhere near New York City or willing to work via email, I'd be happy to explore her with you. There you go. Jane, you babysat Emily Beck? Oh my gosh. Okay, so Emily Beck is an award-winning playwright and director and one of my favorite directors that I've ever worked with. She's directed me a couple of times and things. And she's brilliant and wonderful. And I just was emailing with her yesterday because I quote her in the new book. Okay, this I'm just going to tell you because it's hilarious and we're all still here, so why not? And clearly we're spending the day together. No, I'll wrap this up, I promise. But Emily and I were talking one time, and you know the phrase l'esprit de l'escalier, right? It's a French phrase that means literally the inspiration of the stairs or the wit of the staircase. And what it refers to is that thing that you think of to say after you've already stormed out of the room and you're on the stairs and you're like, and another thing. The thing you think of to say when it's too late to say it. So the French, of course, have a phrase for that, l'esprit de l'escalier. So Emily and I came up with le spectacle de la voiture. Le spectacle de la voiture, which is the audition you give in the car on the way home from the audition. So I was just emailing with Emily the other day. That's so great. Well, you'll have to tell her we spent the morning together. I'm a big fan of Emily Beck. She's a brilliant person. Good. Anything else? And see, like this thing of, people saying like, oh, I can help, and oh, I could do that, and oh, I know this person, and I know that person. That's what happens when you do stuff, right? So I'm so pleased that so many of you will be joining me in LA for Big Yes. And I hope this has been valuable for you. I hope that you have some things that are shifting inside of you right now. Even just attending this, like things are changing. Don't pretend like you're not going to start doing things differently because you've already started to do things differently. You just need to see it through. Just keep going, right? How may I connect with a New York City person? My email is, okay, I'll let you guys copy and paste that. I'll keep this open for a minute while we let you guys do that bit of business. I'm always happy to see that. It looks like there's like a hand raised or something. Requests, view. I've never seen that before. Okay. Good. Chat. Anything else? Everybody's good. And again, if you're not coming, if it's a no, the only thing I don't want you to do is be confused. Like if it's a yes and you're coming to Big Yes, then great. And if it's a no and you've got a good, clean, like, nope, that is not the right thing for me right now, then great. I'm all in favor of no. I just don't want you in that wiggly, like, oh, I wish, I don't know, I could. No, just decide. You got this. You totally got this. All right. Can't see the chat's end of list. I don't know what that means, Jane. I'm sorry. Em, can you see? Okay, Em got your email address. She'll send you something tonight or today if she can. So there you go. There's support right there. And come to Big Yes, and then you can meet each other in person and be best friends and pen pals forever. It'll be beautiful. All right. Are we done? Everybody ready? Close this out? All right. As you know, it's 4th of July weekend here in the United States, where we celebrate our independence. Originally, our independence from Great Britain, but today, for creatives, I'm going to declare our independence from the tyranny of confusion, from the curse of starving artist. We're going to revolt. That's why it's Big Yes Revolution. I want everybody in the world spending 15 minutes a day on the projects that matter most to them. Can you imagine what that would look like? And I want people talking about it. I want them at the water cooler saying, you know, I spent 15 minutes on my needlepoint this morning. Really? I spent 15 minutes singing. I was singing last month. Really? Last month I was writing crappy poetry. I love crappy poetry. Whatever. I want people digging into their creativity and sharing it. Because stories are how we explain ourselves to ourselves. It is the thing we do best, is tell stories. It is what heals us. It is what reminds us of our humanity. It is what brings us all together. In a world that seems like it's constantly trying to tear us apart, our stories bring us together, and the creatives are the story makers. When I say the world needs your work, I'm not kidding. The world is there in the water, half drowning, desperate for you to swim out there and give them a floaty and help them. Let's do one more round of breathing to close this circle out. You ready? We'll inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll see you at Big Yes. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for doing this with me. Have a great weekend.